What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I haven't done a video about the California Youth Authority in a long time. And for those of you that are new to the channel, or those of you that are not from California, the California Youth Authority was state prison for minors. They housed people pretty much from like the age of 12 to 24. Imagine that. You know, being in the California Youth Authority and being 13, 14 years old, and one of your rivals is in the same dorm with you who's 19, 20 years old, and you have to fight him. It's mandatory. Good luck with that, right? But I wanted to talk about the differences between the California Youth Authority and the California Department of Corrections, because the differences are vast. I did a video, one of my biggest videos ever, on why the Mexicans in prison and the CDC don't fight, period, right? And it was called "Why Mexicans Don't Give Blacks Head Up Fades," something like that. And that strictly pertained to the California Department of Corrections. In the California Department of Corrections, you have grown-ass men. They've been in there 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, right? You have very, very dangerous organizations that are established in the California Department of Corrections. Those men and those organizations, they make money through various ways. They're making money off the yard. If you think you're going to just be fist fighting on the yard in the California Department of Corrections, you're going to be interfering with other people's money. And I know, as far as for like the Southerners, if you got to put your hands on somebody, there better be a knife in your hand. Because if not, it wasn't serious. It wasn't serious enough to get people's visits cut off, because they're going to lock everybody down, whatever. They're going to investigate. And you damn sure can't be fighting with any other group, period. You're not going to be fighting with your own. You damn sure ain't going to be fighting with another group, because that will definitely lead to a riot on the spot, right? California Youth Authority, when I made that video, there were a lot of people saying that the Mexicans were scared to fight and all this. And I'm like, I always laugh about that, because I'm like, you obviously weren't in the California Youth Authority or juvenile hall or camp, right? In the California Youth Authority, you're going to be fighting on a regular basis. You're going to be fighting other races. It doesn't always lead to a riot. Something happens, you're going to get down, period. No matter what ethnicity, what gang, whatever. Something disrespectful occurred, or something you felt was disrespectful, get off. Or if you just don't like somebody, get off. In the California Department of Corrections, in the movies, they always show the I have to be careful how I say it on this platform, anywhere on social media. But when dudes, I'm going to put it like this, when dudes' manhood gets taken from them, they get assaulted in the worst type of way, right? In Hollywood, you always see that depicted. That's almost completely unheard of in the California Department of Corrections. That type of behavior is not tolerated, and it's viewed very, very negatively, and it will get you hit doing stuff like that in the California Department of Corrections. Now, in the California Youth Authority, there would be dudes that would beat somebody up daily, beat them up, and beat them up, and beat them up until they break them. And once they break them, they start pimping them. It's no lie, no joke. Dudes would get pimped out for a few soups. for some stamps, for some Kool-Aid. And you got to remember, these are people haven't even reached 18 yet. Why was the most brutal place I ever did time? I did time in more violent places. But the brutality in the California Youth Authority, you couldn't pretend you were tough. California Department of Corrections, because you're not going to just be, you're not allowed to bully anybody, right? The politics protect you. As long as you keep your mouth closed, you keep your nose at other people's business, and you do your time the right way, you may not ever even have to do anything, depending on how much time you got. If you got life, you're definitely going to be doing some stuff, for a fact, right? In the California Youth Authority, somebody might not like the way you look, and they're just going to be like, I'm going to fuck this dude up, man. I don't like the way he looks. And so what type of heart you have gets exposed immediately. And again, if you got no heart, you're going to be somebody's punk. California Department of Corrections, they ain't gonna allow, they ain't no punks on the yard. If you're a Southerner, they ain't no punks on the yard. Everybody that has a bunk on the yard is for a reason. You're not considered dead weight. You're pulling your weight. A lot of the guys that I met, that I knew in the California Department of Corrections, that were like real laid back and with it, the majority of them were dudes that were in YA. YA, a riot could kick off instantly over a microwave, over somebody changing the channel on the TV. And this is go time. And it was fun. You know, it wasn't like in the CDC. The CDC, you're not going to, a riot can kick off on the spot, but for that to happen, there better be a very, very good reason, right? Normally, something happened, people are going to be talking about it, discussing, you know, hey, Jones, this is what we need to do. It gets ran through the proper channels. Everything's plotted and planned out. And it's very rare, very, very rare for there to be a riot in the California Department of Corrections, especially if there's Southerners involved. It's very rare that after the riot's over, there's not at least one person dead. And it's usually the cops that are going to kill somebody. And it's usually a Southerner. A lot of times it's a Southerner that gets shot. The riot in New Folsom in 96, I know, I'm not sure how many, but I think 12 or 13 people got shot. One was shot, he died, a friend of mine, Shanky, from Pasadena. The big riot in 2000 in Pelican Bay, 15 people were shot. At least one was shot 3 times. He dropped on the first shot. They hit him in his knee and he dropped. They shot somebody next to him, went back and shot him again. Shot a couple other people and then shot at the homie again. The bullet hit like next to him and the fragment of the bullet went in his neck. Riots in the California Department of Correction are not fun and they're extremely deadly. Riots in YA, there could be weapons involved, but there were no gun towers. You're just gonna be out there chunking them. And it was weird because in YA, when there's a riot, it's almost like a ball of humanity. Everybody just attacks, and the ball, it's like it just moves around, and you see people dropping and getting back up, getting back into it. Other people trying to run away, and then they get attacked by other people. It's a completely different type of riot. Staff respond, and vans just pull up, boom, 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 from all over the institution. All the all the security vans pull up. They run out there, they're pepper spraying, and they have this thing called the fog. They're spraying the fog at everybody, and when it's over, you kind of laugh about it. You brag about it. Give it a couple days, you're back to normal program. California Department of Corrections, they kick off a riot. That yard may not come up for a year. And every time the doors pop, everybody's on their door with the weapon in hand in case their door pops so they can get them. If it's a rival, they want to get them. California Youth Authority, almost, if not all of them, almost every one of the female staff, whether they're a counselor or a GS, which is group security, they were sleeping with somebody, at least one dude, under their care. California Department of Corrections, it's rare, but it happens. But in the California Youth Authority, at least 98, 99% of the females that work there, they were fucking somebody. One of the inmates. They call them wards because they're under 18. Well, you can, like, again, you could be over 18. The two places are, and I'm trying to think of a word. The two places are very harsh. But the California Youth Authority, it's no longer around. And I've said, whenever I have talked about the California Youth Authority, I've always said this. It was the worst experiment they've ever conducted, I think, in California at least. It was the California Youth Authority because you were constantly fighting. It was so bad to where you could be kicking it in your dorm, and then somebody comes back from education or whatever, and they're like, hey, fucking so-and-so got down with somebody today right now. You know, right now when I came in, he was out there getting down, and somebody else would be like, hey, that fool's been fucking everybody up. Somebody, and hearing that conversation would be like, oh, that Vato's crazy or something? I'm going to fuck him up then. That was the atmosphere. Whoever was supposedly a badass dude, you want to get down with them just to see, just to find out. And there's no hard feelings. Let's just get down. I really don't think you're like that. And having teenagers grow up in that environment where there's constant fights, there's riots, and there's that competition of who's really the baddest dude in the dorm or in the institution, it created monsters. In the joint, you used to hear dudes say, oh, that Vato has a YA mentality. And that was not a positive. Because dudes that had the YA mentality would get out of YA and enter society with a chip on their shoulder. You could not convince them. I know, because I had the same mentality when I got out of fucking YA. In my mind, I was the baddest dude, and somebody that thought I wasn't was gonna have to prove it. I had a chip on my shoulder. I didn't want anyone to ever say nothing bad. Like, you were not gonna be able to say, if you were a rival, yeah, I went over there and homeboy was there and he didn't do nothing, and so a lot of the guys that were in YA, within 6 months of release from the California Youth Authority, they were either dead or fighting a murder case. That was what YA did. It created monsters. And there are guys in the California Department of Corrections right now that were products of YA. They've been in there 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years. Anyhow, that's just a little quick video on the differences between the California Youth Authority and the California Department of Corrections. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.